Now, so far the complaint with the bank is very slow, takes 5 to 10 weeks, 90% rejected, actually more than 90%. From what I know, 95% rejected. Then the complaint to FIDRAC, very few people submitted. And those who submit, very few cases are heard. So it's going to take a long time. Of course, 3 months ago, many people say want to take legal action. At that time, MAS says don't take legal action. It depends upon the complaint process in Singapore. But after 3 months and after this kind of result, many people are very impatient. They say, look, this is not just a few thousand, this is 100,000, 50,000. This is 10 years, 20 years of savings. This is my whole lifetime of savings. And then I got no encouraging news. In fact, I got all the discouraging news. I'm going to take legal action. So many people already say they want to take legal action. Earlier I say legal action should be considered last resort. But by now many people say this is already the last resort, legal action. Now let me tell you about the legal action. Not only myself, I think about 10, 20 investors, we keep in touch with each other. They went to talk to many lawyers. I myself talked to 4 or 5 lawyers. Will you take legal action if the investors appoint you? Most of the senior lawyers, good names, they say, sorry, I can't. My firm is connected with this bank. My firm connected with that bank. Even those who got says not connected, I dare not take because later on the bank blacklist my firm. No more business. Now most of the senior lawyers, big firms are like that. These are people I know for 10, 20 years. Very nice, they say, Tan Kin Lian, but sorry, we can't. Then I will go and talk to some other lawyers, good lawyers, but not connected with the bank. Most of them say, will the investors pay me to even look at the case? Or rather, they don't put it so directly. They will say, okay, okay, then they do nothing. They do nothing. Later on when you ask them what happened, they say, oh sorry, very busy here, very busy there. But the real reason is they say, I'm a lawyer. If I spend time to study the prospectus, I'm going to take 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. Who is going to pay me for my time? If I spend so much time and nobody engage me, my time is wasted. So many of the lawyers, they say, if you are willing to pay me now, I can study for you. But my fee is not cheap. I don't know, $1,000 an hour. I don't know, $500 an hour. I don't know. They don't want to say. But their fees is not cheap. And they come and tell you to study this will take how many days? Just to study. So very hard to get a lawyer want to study this. Anyway, the prospectus is so complicated. The only person who study this, spend the time to study this, are the investors. And me, I also study this. I spend many hours to study this. Of course, I don't charge anybody. But the lawyer expects to be paid to study this. So most of them don't want to spend the time to study this. So they say, if you engage me, then I will study this. If you don't engage me, I will not study. The mini bond group went round, they formed a committee to went round and talk to 5, 6, 7 lawyers. And they come back and finally nobody wants to take up the case. Now since the first day, Since the first day that we had the meeting here, I saw on television a lawyer called Mr. Leonard Lu on TV. He was explaining about this credit-linked notes. Later on, he came here and he introduced to me. Mr. Tan, I'm Leonard Lu. And he's been giving the cards to many investors. And of course, he invited the investors to go to his office. And many investors went to his office and they hear him. And according to Mr. Leonard Lu, about 200 people have appointed him, subject to confirmation. That's what they call register to register. Okay, but I want to be very honest, and I hope that Mr. Leonard Lu don't mind my honesty. Where are you, Mr. Leonard Lu? Okay. Now, I myself also not so sure whether Leonard Lu is a person or not. But at least he put in the effort to study. And he put in the effort to go and talk to many people. Okay? But some of the investors tell me, Mr. Tan, Mr. Lu is quite junior. You know, can he fight the case? Can he fight the case? How can he, one person, handle so many things? Okay, so many investors come and tell me. Alright, so I met with Mr. Leonard Lu together with my committee 2-3 times. I think 2 or 3 times, and I told Mr. Lu, these are the people's concerns. They say you are quite junior. You haven't fought a case in High Court. So can they ask you to fight for them? Okay, but Mr. Lu is quite open. He told my committee, told me, he said, Mr. Tan, I will not fight this alone. I will get 1 or 2 senior counsel to work with me in my panel. Furthermore, he says, I will get them to write an opinion. How are we going to fight the case? Okay, so before you decide to appoint him, he's going to organize a briefing. So please go and attend the briefing. It is your money. In fact, one of the investors tell me, Mr. Tan, you recommend Mr. Leonard Lu. Can you take the responsibility that if he fails, we go after you? So I told this person, I can't take the responsibility. It is your own money. You please go and attend Mr. Leonard Lu's briefing. I can't take that responsibility. I'm not earning anything. And how can I take a responsibility? The bank sell you $100,000. The money is gone. Why don't you ask the bank to be responsible? Why you want to hold me to be responsible? So I said that's not fair. But I did try to get other lawyers. So far Leonard Lu is the only one willing to spend the time. And even when I tell Leonard Lu, people got this concern. Now Mr. Lu is quite honest also. He can say, yeah, I also understand. He says, Mr. Tan, I assure you this. My reputation also important to me. If I go in, I fail, my reputation is destroyed. So I also must be do the job quite well. And this is what he is going to, I asked Leonard Lu to speak afterwards. But the mini bond investors, after going round 6-7 lawyers, finally decided that they will invite Leonard Lu to come and give a briefing to the mini bond investors on the next Tuesday. Next Tuesday, they got a website to register. And Mr. John tells me 100 over place taken up, only 80 left. So you please go and register.